Here we go, Mike. Getting ready to start one of my very favorite shows on Crowdsource The Truth. We've got more pain coming up at 8:30 tonight to make way for this little YouTube preview that you and I are doing to speak to the audience and let people know that the show is going to be starting on patreon.com/truepundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. Michael Moore, how are you tonight?
Yo, how was the holiday? Good holiday?
It was great. I was going to ask you how your Thanksgiving was, because it's one of those holidays that you mix family that you see maybe once a year with booze and politics. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah, we are everything. It turns out everything can go wrong. Now, by the time you're in your 50s, if you haven't alienated your family properly, then and you want to put yourself through the ringer every holiday, then you're almost a rookie. It's like you should have basically, cut these people off that are menaces. They can't be. There's always the one relative at the holiday who it's going really well and then gets a couple cocktails and all hell breaks loose. Right. There's always that one person. It could be a man or a woman. We have them both in our family, and you're just waiting for it to happen. You're like, okay, when's it going to happen? When is he or she going to bring up politics, or when is he or she going to drop something from 30 years ago that's completely out of control? That kind of thing.
Exactly.
But we made it through, and thank God. But it's got to be pretty dicey for a lot of families. I know there's mixed politics. There's mixed politics in my family, and I try not to talk about politics with my family because they're basically morons when it comes to politics. None
of the ones who are watching right now. All the other ones.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're just not with it. It's like they check it. I mean, I live and breathe this stuff, so it's I have a leg up. But they're like, "Oh, who's the vice president?"
Right.
Get the fuck out of here. Get out of here, baby.
Mike, if you came to me and said something about, I don't even know, Wayne Gretzky, or name some hockey something, I'm not going to start getting into a huge argument with you. I'm going to say, well, you know what? I don't really know that much about hockey. I just can't really respond to any kind of comment about that. But so many people don't do that. They want to dig in and they want to give you their really strong viewpoint, even though they have no idea what they're talking about. We're going to be getting into this whole suicide of the banker that I believe the Washington Post or the New York Times, somebody said it was this guy's linked to loans that Donald Trump got. The story that you have on TruePundit.com.
They missed the story.
Right. Did they miss it, or did they redirect it?
Yeah, they twisted it up. They didn't report what was really going on. And people were like, oh, well, this is a new wrinkle. Now, let's not forget, I worked at the city for a long time before the FBI trashed my career. And I ran anti-money laundering for big cities, big division in major cities, Chicago, Delaware, which also handled stuff from New York. And also I handled Los Angeles. So I worked with these guys. I worked with the private bank that this banker was running. So when I saw his name, I recognized it immediately, and I called a couple of people. I said, yo, what's the story? This guy is dead.
Yeah.
He committed suicide. And then, you start making calls and scaring up some old contacts. Strangely enough, I had lunch with, I talked about a couple weeks ago, I had lunch in Biden's neighborhood with a city guy. And it's like, I know this bank because I lived it. I worked it for a long time, and I probably would still be there, and nobody would know who the hell I am on the internet if the FBI didn't stick its nose in and make sure that I got tossed out of there. And by the way, City was great to me even when I was going through the process with the FBI. So I'll just throw that out there. But the press missed the story.
Yeah,
they said this guy is linked to a loan, a legitimate loan that he gave Trump for real estate. And somehow, they were alluding that Trump is responsible for the death. And I'm thinking,
right.
Over the weekend, I'm talking to people, and I'm like, we're not going to rush this out during the holidays. But let me talk to some people, and then let me talk to the Fed, see what's going on. The real story here is that this guy, he ran City Private Bank, the wealth arm. In other words, these banks like Citi and Deutsche Bank, they have these wealth arms, these private wealth arms, and they only deal with mega wealthy people.
Right.
And they cut loans, and then these people also bring in a lot of business to the bank, and sometimes those folks get finder's fees, or they get a commission on the accounts that they help broker and help get opened up, and credit lines and things like that. So Epstein was in Citigroup he was getting loans when I was at Citigroup.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Now, it wasn't my division. Like, we didn't have oversight over the private bank. I had oversight over something different. I mean, Citi is a massive mammoth of a financial institution. It's like, just a mega bank, and it's just massive. You get in there, you're like, whoa, there's 320,000 employees, and you're like, wow. Yikes, what's going on in this place?
Like a country.
Globally, yeah, it's crazy. So, but Bowers worked out of New York, and then he went from Citi to Deutsche Bank, and then Epstein followed him.
Really? And that's interesting.
Well, he got a lot of loans from Deutsche Bank, and and then they found out that the feds subpoenaed Deutsche Bank in May. I don't even know if this is public. I've said it before. They subpoenaed them in May, and Deutsche Bank started closing out Epstein's accounts right after that, a couple weeks after that, because of the risk. They had been busted.
Isn't there some other disaster going on with Deutsche Bank right now?
Well, Deutsche's its private wealth arm is collapsing. Bowers and his crew. Now he brought the entire crew from Citigroup over to Deutsche, and then he had a couple disciples. They ran that into the ground, making bad loans and stuff. It's funny, the loans that Citi made to Epstein welched on.
Wow.
Millions of dollars, and they had Bowers basically was a fixer for him and getting money, and so we did a good story on this. I think it's the right story. I don't think the Trump angle has anything to do with anything. Doesn't make any sense. So I mean, wealthy people in New York deal with a handful of banks. So what? So Trump got a loan. So what? He paid the loan back. It's not like he welched on it, and they're saying it was a dangerous loan. Well, a dangerous loan is when you're loaning money to a child trafficker, and the bank is allowing you to do it, and then
he
you move
chucks
on to
people out
bank.
the back of a 727 DB Cooper style.
Yeah, and then your banker, this Bowers guy, is on your private island with you partying, and also in New York partying. That's in the story, So the Bowers was no altar boy, no Boy Scout. So we allude to that. But you don't want to pick on a dead guy, so to speak.
Right.
But the story is that this guy was Epstein's banker. It's confirmed. I mean, I was inside the bank. I got people inside the bank. They gave me good information, and like anything else, we got a good story out of it. While the rest of the media was talking about, I literally think that they do this on purpose to get out in front of the story.
Absolutely.
Ooh, Trump's banker. It's like, no, so what? It's a legitimate loan, right? Trump's loan. Okay, so it's the same guy. It's the same wealth arm. Okay, but like I said, there's only certain ones you deal with. But what Trump didn't do was traffic kids all over the world, and like Epstein's, like
small detail,
obviously a global criminal and a global child sex trafficker and child sex whatever you want to call it. He's just the lowest of the low. And then when you see this guy, all of a sudden now the feds wanted to talk to this guy, because not just Bowers they want to talk to, they want to talk to everybody, every Wall Street wealth arm who dealt with this Epstein and all of his corporate conglomerates. They want to interview everybody. Now, had they interviewed Bowers? No. But were they planning to? Yes, that's confirmed. And then the guy ends up, we were fairly vivid in the headline. We said he was found swinging from a rope. That's at this point, is anyone surprised? And it's the same thing they said it happened to Epstein. I mean, these things are not coincidences, if you ask me.
Right, but you're right. I think that they're trying to make people, the takeaway here is, oh, Trump had this guy killed. Because they're talking about Trump's relationship with Deutsche Bank, this guy being dead. I mean, again,
legitimate loans.
Right.
They're legitimate loans. So what? Who effing cares? It's
well, the thing that interests me, Mike, is that we've got a legitimate process for bringing charges against people, and then we've got this process of making insinuations and publicizing these insinuations and then ruining somebody over innuendo, allegations, and made-up crap, irrespective of whether or not they did it. And it's a problem for me because I've been subjected to this, people making up a lot of nonsense, and actually, this very process is what drew me to Donald Trump and caused me to vote for him. Because when he first announced that he was running for president, I just thought he was a reality show guy who's kind of crass, and I didn't really want him to be president. And as all of these accusations came up, all of these insinuations came up, I started looking into them because they were so shocking to me that if they were true, I was going to be absolutely repulsed. And every single one of them that I looked into was false, was manipulated, was like this. There's something else behind it that they're spinning away from.
You have to be, listen, I've been in the news business a long time, and I know I say that a lot, and people are like, oh, he always says that, but what the hell else am I going to say? You know, I didn't sell balloons on the street corner. This is my life. I wanted to do this since I was 15, and I think I'm fairly good at it.
Yeah.
So you have to be an ass clown to miss this story. In other words, if you're researching this guy, I'm not solving Rubik's Cube over here or something. If you're a reporter, no matter left, right, wherever you are, and you research Bowers, you know Epstein comes up. So why wouldn't you report on it? It's stupid. It's just put it in the story. It makes you look like a fool to say that he was Trump's banker and this, that, and the other thing. I mean, at least Trump used the loans for real estate. Nobody knows, even the guys at Citi, nobody knows what Epstein was using the loans for. It wasn't for real estate. It wasn't for real estate. Some of the loans were secured, and we're going to get into it tonight. I'm giving away too much, I think. But where did the money go?
Right.
And then he didn't pay it back. It's a heist. It's a heist. And then the banker's hanging out with him at his parties. Like, what does he have on the banker? And what does the banker have on everybody else? Because don't forget, Epstein brought Citigroup. Epstein brought J.P. Morgan, because he used J.P. Morgan as well. And Epstein brought Deutsche Bank, and Epstein brought TD Bank, and many other financial institutions. A lot of wealth business from other guys.
Huh.
So what did the banker who was writing the loans for these guys know? He's at the same parties. He's in the same circles, right? The guy handling the wealth arm that's in our story for J.P. Morgan, he was on the island too, and he was at parties too.
Wow.
These bankers are like living it up.
Right.
If they can't get some action on their own, they're just hanging out with Epstein. Jeez. I mean, some of these guys I work with, they're real Poindexters. You know, they got a problem with the ladies, even though they got the black card. Swing around the black card out there. But I've seen this. It all fits. Sometimes things just fit and it makes total sense. This is something that fits and makes total sense. And then the fact I find completely alarming, but not surprising, I guess, is that the media didn't touch it.
Yeah.
The real story is the guy who was writing loans for the guy who got allegedly suicided in jail.
Also suicided.
And
he was about to be questioned by the FBI.
Right before the feds are saying, yeah, we want to talk to them. Just a matter of course, we want to talk to all these guys because they want to find out. Yeah.
He had the same illness as Kenneth Lay. He was going to testify about Enron. Boom, died.
This is real life Goodfellas. If you've seen the movie Goodfellas and you've seen that genre of mafia, of settling scores, of just outlandish violence and in-your-face violence and in-your-face, what are you going to do about it? This falls. And you know what? And just when you thought this story couldn't get any stranger, it gets stranger. And unfortunately, I think it's going to get even more strange as time goes on.
Right, because we're at the part of the movie where it's the montage after Robert De Niro tells everybody not to buy a Cadillac, and now he's got to send out people with the ice pick to handle all these guys who are loose ends. That's what it is, right, Mike? This guy's a loose end. He has too much information about everything that's gone on. It seems like he was Epstein's guy at the bank who, you know better than I, someone inside there who's willing to do crime could probably, I mean, look, they got a lot more access than somebody trying to break in and do crime.
This is like organized bank robbery. I used to look over a lot of these loans, a lot of these big fat transactions, a lot of things as small as Smurf money orders coming in and things like that, as to a very large
Smurf money orders.
Well, it's a anti-money laundering terms when you Smurf money orders and you Smurf cash deposits. Anyhow, when you look at this stuff, you understand that these were really high risk loans and probably should not have been given to Epstein. So why was it pushed through the bank? I mean, I'm sure the AML guys and the compliance guys on the wealth side, on the private wealth side, they have a lot more leeway than the commercial bank and some of the consumer bank ends that I was working with. But really, I mean, these are unsecured loans, $25 million of loans, and then, I mean, I know of $25 million, and we'll talk about other amounts beyond that tonight. But
wow,
that's kind of
so. Am I understanding correctly that you expect Papa Smurf to be the next guy to be found hanging?
No,
could happen.
Smurfing. I guess you have to Google smurfing and money laundering, and you understand what's happening. But it's just very basic stuff. This likely raised a lot of red flags, and they pushed it through anyhow because he was bringing in so much business to the bank, and he had leverage. Not only that, you have leverage when you have $25 million, $30 million in outstanding paper, and you'd say, "I'm not going to pay you back,
right?
If you don't write me more paper." So the bank's like, "We better," and I just brought you $500 million in new business. So where's my $75 million?
Right, it's different than the type of typical loan that somebody's getting to purchase their Ford Explorer or their $300,000 house. This is a whole different ball game that you're describing. But Mike, we're almost out of time here with our preview on YouTube and Periscope and DLive and all the other platforms. But we're going to be starting more pain in just about 15 minutes on patreon.com/TruePundit, patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. The lead story we're going to be discussing tonight is the real information about what happened with Thomas Bowers, the private banker who dealt with Jeffrey Epstein and other people, including Donald Trump. But it does seem very curious that he is found allegedly having committed suicide when the FBI is interested in speaking to him about this guy. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Mike, anything you want to say before we transition over to patreon.com/TruePundit and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth?
I love the Patreon platform. We also have a podcast coming out, so I'm working on that behind the scenes too. I'm looking forward to that as well. Going to be we'll break news on there like we always do, and then we'll throw in some guest interviews and stuff like that.
Nice.
I think people will find it really informative compared to what's out there now. A lot of cement heads blabbing about stuff they have no idea. These guys there's a lot of guys that just popped up a couple of years ago when Trump was running.
Right.
They were like telling fortunes they're gypsies telling fortunes on the boardwalk, and now all of a sudden they're know-it-all. So, it's like it's time to put some of these people in their place. So I'm looking forward.
Suffolk County gypsies. I think I know who you're talking about.
There's so many of them.
But people can go and become sponsors on patreon.com/TruePundit and support Mike and his crew there at TruePundit. You should also be getting your news daily from TruePundit.com. Great resource. We got more pain coming up in just 10 minutes. Mike, I'll see you over there. Thanks so much for joining me here and helping me let everybody know that we're at the beginning of the month. Now's the perfect time to become a sponsor, catch up on all the past episodes. We'll see everybody in 10 minutes. Thanks for watching.
See you, man.